But what I've been doing for the past 39 years and a bit is I've been basically telling stories. I got into advertising as a young copywriter and did a lot of video production. As I said, I'm from Trinidad, and when I went into the agency, it was Saatchi and Saatchi. I was thrown into everything. I was thrown into copywriting and doing their television ads. And in Trinidad, there's a very strong culture of storytelling. And that's just what my background was. And so most of the television ads I did, filming in those days, there wasn't any video, basically telling stories. And that's what people responded to, my target audience. Now, we did say in our discussion here that talking about knowing who your target audience is. And I point everybody over to Jess, because Jess has a very good program for finding your target audience. You really do have to know who you're speaking to. But what I'd like to talk about this morning basically is using stories in your marketing. It's not the only thing. You know, there is direct mail, there are many other forms of marketing. But I personally have used stories in my marketing for all of these years, and it's always been very, very successful. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to move forward. There we go. Essentially, if you look at it from a scientific point of view, everybody's got their own little world that they live in. And in marketing, what we have to do is we have to cross from our world into their world. If you think of it like with your partner, your wife, your husband, your friends, it's the same sort of thing. You know, like I've been married for many years, and as the years go by, I get to learn more and more and more about my wife. If you think of your customer, they live in their own world, and you can't just approach somebody and expect them to really understand who you are and for you to understand who they are. And stories are a very good way of getting some sort of a common ground between you, because there is a distance, there is a divide that you have to cross. You have to understand the world that they live in, and you have to sort of understand what they would respond to. And telling stories that you know that they would respond to, or telling stories that they would identify with. In other words, if they're in a particular situation and you know of some other situation that was similar to theirs, and you tell that story, they respond, and it closes that divide. So basically, that's one of the values of storytelling, and it's one of the ways of getting across. One of the first things to do with storytelling is finding the stories, because many of us, you know, we have stories in our daily lives. But stories in business, what you need to do is to build a story bank. And if you think of yourself, you've got stories about yourself, where you came from, how you started your business, and your customers have got stories. They've got stories about where they came from. And if you do understand who your target audience is, then you will understand something about where they came from and what they need, and how you can fill that need. And it's a case of these two worlds meeting and finding some sort of common ground. And because I've been doing video and filmmaking for most of my career, I have had to do storytelling. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because you can't do a video that is not a story. Otherwise, it's a complete waste of time. I've seen people do videos that really are just a bunch of various visuals put together, but there's no story in it. And to me, that's a complete waste of time, because it doesn't inspire anybody. That's when you have the remote in your hand and you just flick on to somewhere else. So what I do with my videos is I always look for a story. And In my career, early in my career, I was doing a lot of television ads, and they're 30 seconds long. So how do you tell a story in 30 seconds? So that is quite a challenge. But if you can tell a story in 30 seconds, you can tell a story in 5 minutes or 15 minutes. There's also, I also do a lot of writing, and words are very, very powerful. And on the web now, the web is still a web of words. People go to websites, and yes, there is video there, and yes, there are other visuals there and so on, but it's still a web of words. And the words have got to connect with people. And stories are a way to build that connection with your audience, especially in your content marketing. Not necessarily on your web pages, but in your content marketing, in your blogs, in your, well, as Libby would know, you know, you've got Instagram stories, you've got on LinkedIn now, and they're all about people. This morning, you know, I've heard lots of people telling about stories. Gavin was telling about the story of the land where he's going. He's got to find all his sheep. I mean, that's a story. You know, we're relating to each other, and I can visualize what Gavin is going to have to do next week. I can visualize 14 acres. I can visualize sheep spread everywhere. You know, it's sort of connected me to what Gavin was saying. And you can repurpose these stories throughout all of your marketing materials. One very helpful website is this one called Answer the Public. And if you go to Answer the Public, for instance, if you're trying to sell, say, wealth management, as Tom is doing, and Neil and others like that, you go to Answer the Public, and what you find there is you find what people are asking. So you begin to see what your target audience, what their problems are, because you're in business to solve their problems. And your business is all about offering something that will help your target audience to solve whatever pain they're going through, whatever struggle they have. That's what you're all about as a business owner. And in Answer the Public, you can see exactly what people are saying. Here's my problem. You know, how do I do this? Where do I find that? Why is this like that? So it's a very, very good resource for understanding your target audience. So really, that's, I'll tell you one little story. I have a friend in San Francisco. Her name is Irene. And herself and her husband Gary started Waterfield Designs in the 90s. They make bags, especially for tech people. And in San Francisco, you've got all these tech people to put their laptops in and so on. And they have built an amazing customer base simply through understanding what their customers want and asking their customers what they want over many, many years. And if you look on their website, I'll put it in the chat, but it's S for sugar, F for Freddy, bags.com, sfbags.com. They've got over 15,000 reviews on their website. Most of them are 5-star, one or two of them maybe 4-star. And at Christmas time, they very nearly had to let go a bunch of their staff because of the lockdown situation. And Apple released the AirPod Max, is it? AirPod Pro, the headphones. And the bags, the cases were terrible. And all of their customers started writing in, saying, can you design a bag? So they did. And their sales went through the roof. But that's simply because they were connected to their customers, and their customers were connected to them. And Irene is a storyteller. And over the 20-odd years, she's built these relationships through storytelling. So that's what I would encourage you to do.